Fuck the algorithm. Fuck the advertisers. Double motherfuck. Actually, that's all I've got. Oh, death to Israel. Something of a challenge for me this time because a regular viewer suggested I explore an issue that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. I wasn't going to make a video this week at all because I'm working on other things for other upcoming videos, and so I spent my time doing that. But I'll be buggered backwards with a barge pole if I didn't wake up this Wednesday morning and think I could squeeze out a small one perhaps, and then I thought I could probably blat out something bigger. It wouldn't have a theme or any real structure. It'd be scattershot. No, I can't have it. It'd be anarchy. Wednesday morning and all I've got is blank pages and no ideas beyond the talking points suggested to me. I'm grateful for it though, because I'm thankful somebody is watching my shit. I know there's more than one. How could I forget the other 3 regular viewers? I'm not counting you, Cy, from the FBI, or you, DJ, from the CIA, or the goat fucking murderer from Mossad. Welcome everybody. I am the air quotes comedian, a man who would not snipe himself in the head from 50 yards away. That's their bestest sniper, that is, despite what future headlines may try to have you believe. And this is where any viewers in sunny Britain will have to produce photo identification and verify they are of age. Otherwise, sadly, you're not so welcome after all. But for everybody else, this is the Polemics. I don't know why anybody would be concerned with children watching me really, because beyond the occasional swear words, I would think young people would find me incredibly dull, dusty, and just a terrible bore. I don't like this geezer, Dad. He's like an audiobook of a dictionary that has broken and gone haywire. And now and then he says bad words, Dad. Fuck. Marginalised. And sometimes the worst word of all. Corbyn! Words, of course, are important, but there are other priorities to think about, seemingly tangential to the larger work at hand at first, but then bringing it back sharply into focus after a merry little dance. We begin. Words, important, but what else? I have a few notions. A. Isn't the letter X looking old? Need a new, slightly edgy letter, not Q, to replace it. For example, B, or example, whatever the case may be. See, it's a very mysterious letter, it gets around. It's not a top dog, but it's also not a D-grade student, or worse, F'd with an E. G, I wonder if the structure of this is a bit obvious now. I hope so, because I've got nothing for H. No, really, I'm skint and I need a fix. Think I covered my eyes there, so I'm going to relax a bit with a big fat J. Okay? Rolling can fuck right off and take all the L's. I've got nothing for M or their sibling N. No, really, I'm broke and I need... Oh, yeah. That's not going to work this time. Seems the power of wishful thinking has scuppered my plans once again. Oh, woe is me for what I need. I'll have a P, please, Bob. Cue the people who are now looking ahead to see if they can predict what the next letter will represent. No doubt you think it's obvious, but didn't we have the cue start right near the beginning of this? Ah, not as straightforward as perhaps you first thought. But seeing as you were trying to get one over, what did you come up with for S? Because I've got nothing. Drank some tea and gave it some thought, but ultimately I'm stuck on W and V, respectively, not to mention Z or Z. I did you already, and in the end, I wonder why I bothered. The British government has introduced the Online Safety Act. That's right. Now you have to produce your credentials to look at online porn. Look, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to watching any kind of pornography, I thought a healthy id was a prerequisite. I was reading the news, not listening to it. And what do you want anyway? Every other comedian has already told every iteration of all the most obvious jokes concerning this event, so not only do I have to avoid what other, more obvious and mainstream comedians might do by correctly predicting them, but then I have to come up with something they wouldn't have, and not only that, but it has to be funny. Well, excuse me, but I can't do everything. And I just imagine my young self, perhaps feeling a bit frisky in the Y fronts and in need of some visual/audio stimulation to keep things moving apace. That's right, dear viewer, I'm a Swiftie, and I could just imagine myself being confronted with the age verification and shouting down the stairs, "Ma'am, I need to learn about the physical mechanics and emotional dynamics of hedonistic non-procreative acts between consenting Homo sapiens. Can I borrow your driver's license?" "You're not looking at porn again, Patrick. You can forget it." "But, ma'am!" Of course, back then we didn't have the internet on account of electricity not being invented yet. Heh, I just remembered why I bothered. Fuck Twitter, that's what. And now, of course, in the British Isles, you have to be of a certain age to get onto the Twitter, don't you? No more being anonymous on the internet, at least. Not unless you can afford to be, or you're somewhat resourceful and think of laws more as guidelines rather than hard and fast, actionable rules. So the King's government has decreed, and thus it is so. I mean, the hassle I have because I don't give evil Google my new phone number. Two-factor authentication for social media is a security threat, not a safeguard. I've lost many accounts, little mounds of dirt ebbing away in the searing wind of information superhighway indifference. My little mounds. Why does the store want to give me big rewards for awarding them my phone number and or email address? What in the inevitable cybersecurity breach is going on here? And how does this differ from passing on my details to interested third parties in return for payment without my informed consent? I sorely wish you'd keep your snouts, government or corporate, it's all the same to me, out of my affairs, thanks. I didn't plan to write this episode until this morning, but I have been researching it since last week, which might sound like one of me is lying, but I assure you this isn't the case. I research many things that ultimately don't turn into comedy routines, and, as best I can, I like to stay informed with the facts and views I personally have a preference for. So when I say during the course of my research for this episode, please don't imagine I'm cramming it in and trying to synthesize a colossal amount of data in the space between 11sies and brunch on this fine Wednesday morning. No, I've been doing it since last week in manageable chunks, like a proper person might. The first item I saw was from a pornographer who was upset that on the panels deciding this new law, there was no representation from the pornography industry, and that the government frames the already highly regulated industry as disreputable, probably criminal, and a harm to children. Seeing porn harms children? Bollocks it does. This new law doesn't only put children at greater risk by potentially pushing them out into the darker web. Out you go, little Johnny. Here's a lamp for the dark web. It won't protect you. You are doomed. Off you pop. It puts adult identities at risk from being placed in the security incompetence to criminal malfeasance pipeline. I have no doubt sex workers will suffer a negative financial impact too, and this new bill isn't just about age verification as if it ever was, it's about controlling speech and information. It's bad news all round, man. The kids hate it because now they can't get onto Pornhub. I assume they're still going. Pornhub, not kids. The adults hate it because they think genocide supporting Kid Starver Starmer is personally taking an interest in their porno perusing peccadillos. And sex workers are workers. I'm going to finish with a sex work joke just to show the likes of Jimmy Carr and Ricky Gervais how to do it without punching down. Here we go. Sex work is the amount of energy it takes to raise the temperature of 1 cubic centimetre of jizz by 1 degree Celsius. Please don't like the video, don't subscribe to the channel, and for the love of Bob, tell nobody of this. Mess with the metrics, that's the kinds of things I like to do. Good night.